Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 17. Then said I unto them, ye see the distress that we are in. The Bible has never been afraid to talk about distress. You see the distress that we're in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come and let us build up. Somebody say build. It's always the purpose of God for his people to build something. For his people to come together and do something that blesses future generations. He comes to a broken people and said, let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that there be no more a reproach. Because the walls have been broken down, a reproach had come in. And when you lose walls and boundaries in your life, that's when the reproaches come in. Then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me. Do I have anybody in here that would say God's hand's been good to you? He started testifying about how good God had been to him. He went to a bunch of people that had lost their faith, that had been broken down and beaten. And he said, now listen, let me state my case by telling you how good my God has been to me. Have you ever been in a bad mood and got around somebody and started talking about the goodness of God? And it just began to stir up something in you, Lord James? Have you ever been around somebody and you just wanted to be in a bad mood? Have you ever wanted to be in a bad mood? No, the devil is a lie. Now Sherry don't, because Sherry's sweet. But now some of y'all, like your pastor, every now and then you just want to pout and do without. But you get around somebody that's got the hand of God on them and they ain't afraid to tell you about it, and it begins to stir up faith in your heart. He went to a broken down congregation and he said, let me tell you about the good hand of my God that has been upon me. And then he said, the king's words which he had spoken unto me. And they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. Can I tell you, God wants to strengthen your hands today for a good work. I want to preach a little while from the subject of blessings and battles. Blessings and battles. Because here's where we're missing God many times. And here's where the enemy's talking us out of our faith and out of our joy and out of our victory, because you think you got blessings on one end and battles on the other end of the spectrum, and you think that blessed people ain't really battling, and people that battle ain't really blessed. Have you ever looked at somebody and you can see the blessing of their life, the blessing on their family, the blessing on their marriage, the blessing on their children, and you look at that family and you know God's hand has been good to them. You look at them and you see the fruits, the evidence that God has put a special mark on them and a special touch on them. And God wants you to see that. And God wants you to give glory to that. But the devil knows he can't do nothing with that. So what he begins to whisper in your ear is, look at that blessed person. They don't battle like you do. They don't struggle like you do. They don't have the same fears and disappointments, the same uncertainties that you do. And when you see somebody that walks in the blessing, the devil says, yeah, they got the blessing because they don't have the battles you have. I used to, as a young man, I'd see people preach under the anointing and the power of God, and I'll think, oh, they're so blessed. But I can never be blessed like that because I got too many battles. I got too many struggles. Look at the blessing therein. But you know, I found out one thing about life is I know some blessed people that are blessed publicly, but they got some private battles. Have you ever been blessed on one end, but battling on the other end? Have you ever had God bless your job, but it felt like you were fighting hell in your family? Or God bless your relationships, but you felt like you were going through it internally? The devil don't want you to know that blessed people battle too. And I've seen a lot of people talked out of the blessing because they thought it came without battles. My greatest blessings I've always had to fight for. I got anybody in here ever had to fight for some stuff? Ever had to believe God in the midnight hour? Have you ever had to walk the floor and pray and say, God, I need you to help me. I need you to give God a praise if you've ever blessed and battled at the same time. Polar opposites of each other. It's like a coin. There's a head and there's a tail. And for every blessing God puts upon you, the enemy will send a battle against it to try to talk you out of it. Who am I talking to? God put an anointing on Moses, a blessing, but there was a Pharaoh to try to hinder that. God put a blessing on Elijah that shook a nation, but there was a Jezebel that tried to diminish that. And so many times we've allowed Facebook to change our theology. Because Facebook, you only see the pretty selfie. You don't realize they deleted 20 selfies before they posted that one up with filters. And the only time they smiled that day is when they were snapping the camera. They frowned the rest of the day. But because you only saw that snapshot, you thought that's how their life was. But you didn't see their kids acting crazy. And you didn't see their husband coming home drunk. Who am I talking to? And you didn't see the battles they went through behind the scenes. And so many times we come to church and we put our selfie on. But I'm tired of faking people out. I want you to know that there's a blessing and there's a battle, and it's okay either one you're going through today. So many people come to church and they want to believe God, but they're battling. And they sit beside of somebody that's blessed, and the devil says, look at him. The reason he's blessed is because he ain't never done what you did. He's never been through what you've been through. That's why God can put his hand upon him. But God can't touch somebody like you. Last night at that youth conference, I said, I want everybody in here to raise your hand if you've ever felt like the worst person on earth and like the most undeserving person in the building. If the enemy's ever told you that lie, I want you to raise your hand. 90% of the people, Steve, raised their hand. I said, I want you to look at that. The enemy doesn't have any new tricks. He tells us all the same lies and the same lies. And so many times you see people that are blessed and you don't realize there's some battles they go through behind the scenes to walk in that blessing. But let me flip that. Sometimes you see the battle that somebody's going through and you don't realize the blessing. Sometimes the devil focuses you upon your battles, upon your struggles, and you get so focused on what's going wrong, you forget to praise God for what's going right. And yeah, I might have some things going wrong in my life, but can I tell you, I got more to praise him for than I do to worry about. If you've got more to praise God for than you do to give up for, I need you to give God a praise right now. You may not have it all together, but praise him. You may be struggling, but praise him. Yeah, you may be battling, but you're still blessed. I see people in this congregation, and I've seen that. I've seen them keep blessing God. I've seen them go through the hard time and the dark time, and I've seen the enemy try to make them look at the battle and say, that's what it is. But they would always remind themselves of the good things, of the good times, of the God that had done great and mighty things for them. If you ain't careful, you'll get so battle conscious, you'll forget to give God praise for the blessing. On my toughest day, when things are going tough, I always tell myself, and I tell Carlene this every week, I tell myself, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, I still get to go home to my wife. I'll remind myself of my blessings. I'll remind myself of the good that's going on in my life. And you've got to be real careful because this whole world has a way of making you only look at the dark side, of making you only look at the tough stuff. And you forget about all the good stuff that God's done for you. All the strings God has pulled for you. All the people that didn't make it through what you made it through, and you're still here. And all the times God's done stuff for you that you can't even tell your neighbor about. I know I'm talking to somebody, right? But every now and then when you see your pastor throw up his hands, I'm throwing up my hands for the stuff God did for me that I'll never be able to tell you about. If he's ever done that for you, could you just give him a little praise in here? He's a good God. He's a good God and ever-present help in the time of trouble. And Nehemiah said he'd been good to me. Nehemiah said he put his hand on me. And I got the word of the king in my life that I can rebuild the wall. Nehemiah was somebody that all he did, and I know I've been on this for 3 weeks, and I'll probably quit after this week, maybe not. I never know. Nehemiah had a cup. You know, you ask somebody, what do you do? I'm an architect. You ask Jim Short, what do you do? He's a lawyer. You ask Lord Jean what she does. She's a nurse, saves lives. You ask Shauna, she's a nurse, saves lives. You ask me, I'm a cupbearer. That'd be like going to prison for parking tickets. And you get put in the cell block with murderers and bank robbers. And they go, what are you in here for, Bubba? Oh, I killed 3 people. What are you in here for? I shot a cop. What are you in here for? I burned my house down. What are you in here for? I got parking tickets. You're going to keep that to yourself. I ain't going to tell them. I'm going to say I'm in here because I killed a community of Mormons. Because you don't want them to know you in there. Y'all know y'all going to do that. Y'all in the doghouse. And can you imagine you're Nehemiah and you got people that's doctors and lawyers and such, and you just no cowboy holding the cup. Well, what do you do for a living, Nehemiah? I hold a cup for a king. That's kind of a menial job. That's kind of an humbling job, you know. I would probably make something up. But he did what he did, and he did it well. And if you ever want to go to the next level, you're going to have to do your job on this level. See, a lot of people say, I'll praise God when I get there. And God says, no, if you can't praise me here, you won't give me the praise when you get there. But if you praise God when you got nothing, He'll make sure you got something. Who am I talking to? If you praise God at the bottom, He can trust you at the top. If you'll get in the little things, He can trust you with much. And Nehemiah said, I'm going to be the best cupbearer I can be. I'm going to be the best cupbearer. And Nehemiah did it with an excellent spirit. It's one thing to do something. It's another thing to do it with an excellent spirit, with a commanding spirit. And that's one thing that I've always noticed, and I ain't trying to embarrass Jim Short, but when he walks in, he does it with the spirit in that courtroom. You know his presence is there. I'm at Tazewell the other day. I had fed myself at the brewery. I had drunk nothing but Sprite. But I ate enough burgers that it was probably a sin anyhow. I was coming out of the brewery, and I see a man walking down the street, just right here. It was my man Chris. You know I was going to get you, Chris? Chris walks like he's done whipped 20 people every day. Walks with an excellent spirit. Many times the people I saw you, Sam, hide behind your little tree. I pulled into this parking lot the other day, and Sam had hit the ball sideways. He was against the fence. But there he was, that hair looking immaculate. His little legs shining in that cold weather. Just putting away, doing it with excellence. People that do things with an excellent spirit stick out. It's one thing to do something. It's another thing to do it with passion. It's another thing to do it as doing it unto the Lord. That even on your bad day, you realize I'm not doing this for man, but I'm doing this for God. Because if you get it twisted and start doing it for man, you'll give up. But if you're doing it for God, even when man don't like how you're doing it, you keep doing what you do, because you ain't doing it for you, you're doing it for Him. Who am I talking to in here? Keep doing your best for God. Just keep doing what you do. And Nehemiah's name meant God consolation or comfort. See, there's something about people that walk with God. They have the ability to comfort you. They have the ability to make you feel better. And even though he worked for a pagan king that didn't believe in his God, this king liked him. He had favor with this king. Can I prophesy to you and tell you that God will even use lost people to bless you? That God don't just use for church folk. Mm-hmm. That some of my greatest blessings have come from first-class heathens. But when you do what you do for God, God has a way of pulling on people's heartstrings even if they don't come to church. And this king liked Nehemiah because Nehemiah made him feel better. And he began to notice when Nehemiah was grieved. When Nehemiah smiled, you notice it. And when Nehemiah frowned, you notice it. And this king liked Nehemiah so much. He said, Nehemiah, you ain't acting like you used to act. What's wrong? You ain't doing like you used to. It's kind of like a pastor. Because sometimes you see people and they're always happy. And if you see them, they come in service after service, and you can tell a beating down of their countenance, a beating down of their spirit, a lessening of their praise. You begin to realize something going on in their life. And Nehemiah said, I'm grieved because the walls have been broke down. The walls of the city of my God have been broke down, and now reproach has come upon us. Can I tell you that the enemy wants to break down the walls and the boundaries of your life to where you just let everything flood in? I'm not talking about politics. I'm not talking about Mexicans, Americans, illegal immigrants. I'm not doing Democrat, Republican. I'm preaching common sense. And the enemy loves to tear down the walls of your life. Walls, boundaries. So that anything comes in and can tear up what God wants to do in your life. I don't believe in legalism. I don't believe in being a religious person that pushes people away. But me and Carlene got certain boundaries that we've kept our whole marriage. We have kept those boundaries not to make God love us. We keep those boundaries because God does love us. And we keep those boundaries in place because they protect what God gave me and her. Now, the enemy would love for us to tear down the boundaries after being married 25 years and start letting stuff roll into our house that we ain't never let roll in before, and to make a desecration of what God has done. I'm preaching right now. See, there ain't nothing wrong with having some boundaries. There ain't nothing wrong with telling people, I don't like it when you use God's name in vain. You ain't going to cuss in my house. You ain't going to make me drink in my living room. You ain't going to smoke no pot around me. You ain't going to die. Who am I talking to right now? I'm not doing that to be religious. I'm doing that to protect what God gave me. I got anybody in here got some boundaries? You say, I still serve God, and I still got some limits. I like to joke. I like to goof off. Y'all know that I love to laugh. But I got boundaries, you know. And sometimes my boundary is Carlene. Because sometimes once I get cranking, man, I'm cranked. And I can't reel it back in. And Carlene, she'll do this. Sometimes even when I'm preaching, y'all don't see it. Because sometimes, you know, my hyperness gets messy. And I'm about ready to say something that's just going to make all y'all crazy. And Carlene will do this. What she's saying is shut her down. That's my boundary. And any time, and it's only been a couple of times that I acted like I didn't see her, just kept rolling with it, that after church I wished I had shut her down. See, you got to have some boundaries in your life, not to make God love you, but to protect you. And Nehemiah was grieved because the boundaries were broken. And I get grieved sometimes because now we live in a time when people get mad. If you love them enough to tell them, you need some boundaries. I'm not telling you what to do and how much you know the boundaries of what you can handle. You may be convicted for something I'm not convicted of. And I may get convicted of something you ain't convicted of. It's not my job to put my conviction on you, and it ain't your job to put your conviction on me. But let's go ahead and settle it. If the Bible speaks about it, that's the way it is for everybody. And there ain't no changing it. Can I get a witness in the house of God? I thought I'd get a bit of praise for that. I thought somebody. If the Bible says, this whole book right here is tried and true on the bestsellers list every year. And I promise this book won't fail you. Amen. These boundaries won't fail you. You can have a good time and be a Christian. I had a lot better time now being saved than I did waking up hungover. Who am I talking to? Worried about who I got in a fight with the night before? Or whose boyfriend was coming after me? That ain't fun. It ain't fun. It ain't fun waking up and having to hug a toilet bowl for the first 30 minutes because you're sick as a dog. And the devil is a liar when you think it's more fun out there than it is in here. This old book told me that sin is fun for a season. But that season's up. But the righteous shall endure forever. And I'm trying to tell you, when you set the boundaries of God around your life, it'll protect your peace. It'll protect your prosperity. It'll protect your future. Somebody give God one more praise for the boundaries in the book. I'm trying to hurry because I know I got to preach tonight. But listen, Nehemiah said we're going to build it. The king said we're going to fund it. Nehemiah put up the cup. And he got out the trowel. And he got out the hammer. And he got out the chisel. He started using broken pieces of stuff. He said, God's building some of broken stuff. And that's what I love about church. God builds beautiful works with broken people. I'm a broken person. But God puts us together and makes us work. And he makes us fit. But the problem was, Sanballat and Tobiah, and I won't wear you out with it because I told you about them, they didn't have a problem with Nehemiah until he started doing something positive. They begin to stir up rumors against him, accusation against him. Anytime you're building something for God, there's always going to be somebody hating on you. There's always going to be somebody talking about you. There's always going to be somebody coming against you. And what began to happen was this. The warfare, they were trying to kill him. They hated it so bad. And Nehemiah said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have to learn to work and warfare at the same time. We're going to have to learn how to manage our blessing and fight our battles at the same time. See, I got a lot of people that say, well, I serve God when I quit battling. No, you're going to have to learn how to serve God while you battle. You can't just come to church when you feel like it. You can't just serve God when everything's good, or you ain't never going to serve God. But you got to say, even when I'm messed up, I'm going to serve Him. Even when things are going crazy, I'm going to give Him praise. I'm going to learn how to manage my blessing and fight my battles at the same time. Have you ever had to do that? Have you ever felt like on one side just managing the blessing, and on the other side just fighting your battles? He said, this is how we're going to win this battle. We're going to stick together. And we're going to pray for one another. And what we're going to do, Carlene, I just want you to stand up. And you just turn that way and I'll turn this way. Here's what we do in the Spirit. This morning, Carlene was doing the gun show. She said, can you tell I worked out? Can you tell I worked out? I knew it wasn't going too good. SpongeBob not like that. Anyhow. I said, Lord, yeah. Stay like you are, baby. I'm giving you, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. Okay, here's what we do in the Spirit. Even though she's only a little person in the natural, she's always had my back in the Spirit. In Ephesians chapter 6, God gave you armor. He gave you the helmet. He gave you the breastplate. He gave you the feet, shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, the sword of the Spirit, the shield of faith, loins girded about with truth. But there's one place that you're not protected. Your back. Only one place. And the problem in the body of Christ is when we've been in the battle, ain't nobody had our back. She's always had my back. And you've got to have people that have your back if you're going to manage things. And some of you have been stabbed in the back by people that should have been praying for you. Some of you, they should have been praying for you, but they begin to pray upon you. And you're wounded in a place that you weren't armored to be protected. And Nehemiah saw that they were getting frustrated, that they were worried about unforeseen attacks. All this pressure was upon them, but they had each other's back. And all of a sudden in Nehemiah chapter 4, they're about to lose heart. Because sometimes the fight gets hard, y'all. Murder land, sometimes when it wears on and on and on, I don't care how spiritual you are, you get weary. Sometimes you just get tired of ignorance. Sometimes you just get tired. Here's what it said. I looked and I rose up and I said it to the nobles and the rulers and the rest of the people, all the people that were disgruntled and afraid. He said, here's what I said to them. Be not ye afraid of them. Remember the Lord. The greatest thing you can remember, Doug, is the Lord. And how good He's been to you. Mike, the greatest thing you can remember right now is God, everything He brought you through. He ain't brought you this far to drop you down. He said, I want you to remember the Lord. Be not afraid. Remember the Lord, which is great and terrible. God's great to me, but He's terrible to my enemies. He said, our God is great and terrible. And fight, watch this. Remember why you're fighting. Nehemiah stood up before him and he said, it ain't just about you. Remember, you're fighting for your brothers, for your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your houses. And I just felt this all over me in the office back there to tell somebody, the battle you're in right now ain't even about you. It's about the people you're connected to. There have been times in my life the devil tried to get me to quit. And I had to realize it wasn't about me quitting, but he was trying to get to my son and my daughter and my wife and my family. And if you can't fight for nothing else, stand up and fight for the people you love. When you ain't got no faith to go on, remember, you got family that loves you. You got people depending on you. It's time to stand up and say, I've got one more in there. I'm not giving up yet. Devil, you won't have my family. You won't have my praise. You won't have my sons and daughters. You won't have my husbands and wives. You won't have my house. Somebody give me praise in this place. Everybody's standing. Everybody's standing. You're fighting for something. I know you're in a fight. I know you're blessed and battling right now. But God just wanted me to tell you, You ain't just fighting for you. You're fighting for the people in your house. You're fighting for the people in your life. Sometimes, man, when the enemies come close to derailing me and they press on through it, then I see something good happen for Grayson or Jacob. So Jake ain't even here today because he's been coughing for over a week. Carly's going to meet him at urgent care after the church service. I can't get, Jake to talk sometimes. I say that to say this. We all got family issues. You know what I'm saying? We all got stuff we go through. Every Sunday you come in here, and I'm blessed. Any Sunday I can make it to this church, I'm blessed. But don't ever get it twisted. Just because I'm standing up here giving God praise, don't mean I ain't had to fight some battles this week. It don't mean the enemy ain't whispered to me and said, you need to give up. Ain't nobody listening to you no more, Barry. Ain't nobody believes God's hands on you no more. And I'm going to stand up here and say, the hand of my God has been good to me. And the word of my King is still upon my life. And when I'm fighting, I realize I ain't just fighting for me. I'm fighting for the gun show down there. And I'm fighting for Grayson, and I'm fighting for Jake. And I'm fighting for my mom, and I'm fighting for my dad, and my mama, and my papa that still come every time the doors are open at 85 and 87. No, they don't feel like it, but they come because they believe in the purpose of God. And I'm fighting for you. I don't give up sometimes because of you. I say we remember what we're fighting for. Lift your hands up in the air. You're fighting for something. That's why hell tries to get you to quit. The enemy tries to get you discouraged. Man, everybody attached to you. That's why the devil never wanted you up there, Cody. Because do you realize the blessing coming to two beautiful girls? Because you're in Kayla's commitment to God. You're fighting for something right now. Something greater than you. Bigger than you. Keep fighting. Because God will strengthen you. God will carry you. But I need to talk to some people in the middle of the fight right now. Oh no, my voice is going out. I need to talk to some people in the middle of the fight right now. Fight. God is going to strengthen your hands. Fight for them kids. They need you. Show them how to make it. Show them how to push on through. If that's you and you're in the middle of this battle and you know God has spoke to you in this message, and you say, I feel like it was specifically for me and where I'm at. And preacher, I'm fighting some battles and I don't even know how to talk about right now. I need God to move for me. I want you to step out of your seat. I want you to come up to this altar right now as the Spirit of God is moving. God bless you, Buffy. I want others to come right now as the Spirit of God. It don't matter what, no matter. You're fighting for somebody. See, when you come to that altar, she's fighting for Colton and Avery. She's fighting for people she's connected to. Donna's fighting for her family right now. Your family's worth the fight. The people you love are worth the fight. It don't matter about nobody else right now. See, sometimes my fight is coming to the altar and saying, this is how I fight my battle. I don't break out the machine gun. I don't go to social media. I go to God. This is how I fight my battles. I lift up my hands and I say, God, I can't, but you can. I fix my eyes on Jesus and say, I can't see a way out, but you do. And God has always moved for me, and he'll move for you too. I want you to worship the Lord as they sing. And anybody else that needs to come, I want you to come as they give God the praise.